If you fuck with me, tell me that you fuck with me. If you locked in, tell me that you locked in. You ain't my main hoe, bitch, but you top 10. You ain't my main hoe, bitch, but you top 10. New design on my feet, these are not in.
Hey y'all, I don't know how to add music to this. Plus, I don't know how not to get copyrighted. So, I'm gonna just do a voiceover. So, first off, of course, you better wash them dirty little hands. Can't get in the kitchen without washing your hands. And now you're gonna rinse off these potatoes. Don't nobody want no dirty potatoes. And then you're gonna cut your potatoes into pieces, like little chunks. No particular size or whatever. It just helps them boil faster and more evenly. So since I can't add no music, I'ma just sing for y'all. Slide. Oh no, yes, I don't know the words like that, but that's the best I can do for y'all because they would not let me add music. So I do not like this thing. So now that the potatoes are finally cut, I add them to the water, and I add them before the water is boiled just because that's just what I do, so that by the time I'm done prepping they'll already be boiled and I can just go right into them without having them to sit or anything like that. So I add the potatoes in, put the water on medium heat, and I add me some Himalayan salt, just a little bit, it helps it boil. So now we're back to the meat. The meat that I'm using is filet mignon, of course. And I use my seasoning salt from Lawry's and a garlic salt. I think that's from the same brand. I don't really know, but those are my both. Those are my both. Those are both my go-to for sure. And you know, I use my Himalayan salts. And then I'm going to add some garlic. And I always put the garlic right on the meat. That's just what I prefer to do. And I spread it around both sides, of course, and make sure you season both sides, of course. Then I'm gonna add my it's like a garlic paste. I mean, not garlic, what? Ginger paste. See, it's me and garlic. But I'm gonna add my ginger paste and front and back, of course. I don't want to add a lot because it tends to overwhelm sometimes if you add way too much. But so add that, rub it in. So now it's time to make the sauce. I always make my own sauce when I'm doing like meats and hot wings and stuff. So first start off with butter. I don't do measurements. I just put as much as I want to put. So first you melt the butter for like 5 seconds, and then I add A1 sauce. And I always clean up as I go. So that's why I always come back and forth from the camera. I hate a messy kitchen. Then I add me some red rooster, a lot of it. I started to run out, so it wasn't as much as I wanted to, but whatever, it'll do. And then usually I season it, but this time I didn't feel like it, so I added chives. It's a little bit of herbs. Then you add a little bit more ginger paste, but remember, not a lot, so it doesn't overwhelm. And then I'm gonna add my garlic, of course. And once I'm done with that, you're gonna stir it in. And then you're gonna add your meat and rub it in, like leave it in on both sides, of course. And as I wait and start on the next step, I'm gonna cover that in foil and set it aside. So I decided to make salmon too because turns out my dad was hungry and he greedy. We only had 2 pieces of steak, so that wasn't gonna be enough. But I used the same seasoning on the salmon that I used on the meats. It's the same season I really use on everything, honestly. But season both sides, of course. So now I put it inside a little oven thingy and I rub garlic on top of it. I don't do it on both sides. I just feel like I don't need to with the salmon. And then I'm gonna cut me some lemon, and I don't squeeze it directly on there. I just cut lemon slices and put it on top. And when I put it in the oven, it just, the lemon does its magic. Then I add a little piece of butter on top too, so it creates like a little butter lemon sauce once it melts. So now that I'm done with the salmon, I'm going to pan sear my steak. I always do that before I put it in the oven because it kind of helps make the outside crispier and it helps it cook faster in the oven too. That greedy ass dog in the background. Y'all, that dog is so annoying and so greedy. And all he do is eat, and I don't understand why he begs so much. He really acts like he don't eat. But that's besides the point. So as you can see, I'm letting it cook. I usually let it cook on both sides for like 5 minutes. And then after I do that, I put it inside the little pan. And then I sprinkle the rest of the oil on top. And I pop that right in the oven at 350 degrees. So like I said before, once it's cooked on the outside as well as you want it to be, I put it inside the pan and I put the rest of the oil on top, and then I use the leftover sauce that I have and I rub that on top of it too, spray it all around, and then I put lemon on top of mine. I just like the way the lemon does what it does in the oven. It's like a different feel to me than when you sprinkle it on top and then put it in the oven. But once you do that, you cover it and you put it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Y'all, I was so irritated with this shrimp because this was the wrong shrimp. Like, she bought pre-cooked shrimp. That's gross to me. Usually I get the raw shrimp, but whatever. It was just gonna have to do. So it was already peeled except for the tails. So clearly I'm peeling the tails. I don't even like the way that shrimp looks. Like, it just blows me that she did that. And she didn't see no big deal about it, but she don't cook, so she don't know no better. So I always like to butterfly my shrimp. It just makes it look better, and it's just something I prefer to do. You don't have to, but I like to. So once you guys done butterflying them or peeling them and whatnot, I use the same seasonings as I use on all the other meats, except this time I squeeze the lemons instead of put them in there because I feel like that's pretty awkward to have cut slices of lemon when you saute them. But hey, do what y'all gonna do. And then of course I add my garlic and my ginger. Not a lot. You don't want to overpower it. But I mix that in. Once I mix that in, I set it to the side because we're gonna get started on our vegetables. So I just cut like a quarter piece of the onion. I don't. That's barely even quarter. Like better. What? That's barely even a quarter. That's like a quarter of a quarter, right? Or is there a certain way you're supposed to say that? I don't know. Anyways, I cut my pieces of onions and I add it to a pan with butter. Make sure it's melted before you put it in. Look at that dog begging. And before I add the shrimp and stuff, I put the vegetables, like the garlic. Is garlic a vegetable? I think so. But I put the vegetables in, so the garlic and the onion, saute that a little bit. And once that's sauteed enough for me, I began to add the shrimp and saute the shrimp with the onions and the garlic and the butter. And it just comes out so fire, y'all. So while that stuff cooks, I start cutting and prepping the broccoli. And I get the whole broccolis because the bag of broccolis, they always seem to be old when I buy them. But you cut it and you cut it off the little leaves or whatever. And then once you're done with that, So once you're done with the broccoli, I add butter to my pan, and I add more butter to the broccoli than the shrimp because with the broccoli I saute it first and then I steam it. So I want it to be a little bit of butter. You see how I'll be talking, y'all? But I want a little bit of the butter to be left over for when I steam it too. So spread it through. That's just what I do so it gets all over the place. And once you spread it through, you add your garlic. Y'all really like garlic, but my breath don't stink, okay? But once you add your garlic, you add your broccoli. Then once you put the broccoli in there, you just stir it around a little bit until it cooks. Not cooks all the way through, but it gets like a little glaze. If you get what I'm trying to say. And of course, don't forget to add your seasoning. I use the same seasonings over and over and over and over again. But also use the seasoning that y'all prefer. But yeah, make sure you add your seasoning for sure. So once you saute for a little bit, add your water. And don't add a lot because you don't want it to be like real watery. And once you add your water, cover it up. And then now I'm going to start grating my cheese for the potatoes and the broccoli because I love me some broccoli and cheese. And as y'all know, I love me some cheese, so everything cheesy. So by the time you're done with everything, your potatoes should be ready. So here I am draining my potatoes. And I also forgot to mention that me personally, I like the skin in my potatoes and I like mine's like chunky. So I don't have a well, I like mine chunky, but then too, I don't have a masher or none of that fancy stuff yet. So I use a fork. So it does the job as well as it can do. But anyways, I like the skin on mine. But if you guys want to, you guys can pre-peel them and whatever. But after you drain them, put them back in the same pot on low heat. Mash them up as well as you can. So after you mash it up a little bit, I start to add my butter and I mash it up some more while stirring in the bread. Oh my god. Anyways, I mash it in as I'm stirring in the butter. After the butter, I like to add sour cream to mine. It just helps it become smoother. And it tastes good, so that's just what I like. But most people don't like sour cream. So it doesn't change anything without it, if you get what I'm trying to say, but it does help make it smoother and it does add some taste. So once you're done with the sour cream or the butter, you add your milk and you stir it in. And I made such a big mess with that milk. I was so mad after for like 2 seconds, but then I got over it. So as you can see, the milk is helping it loosen up a little bit and become mashed potatoes. Y'all, I tried to clean up. Well, I cleaned it up a little bit, but the towel was caught on fire, so I had to stop. So back to mushing it and stirring it, all that good stuff. Kind of let the potatoes sit for a little bit, just for like 5 minutes, and like let it boil a little bit with the milk. So as I do that, I add the cheese to my broccoli, and once you add the cheese to your broccoli, I just cover with a lid for about 5 to 10 minutes. And now that I'm done with that, I add super lot of cheese to my potatoes because like I told y'all, I love me some cheese and they were super cheesy. And now you stir it in until it melts through evenly. So after adding the butter, the milk, and the sour cream, I add some lemon juice. And then I start to add the garlic and a little bit of ginger. Those are my two favorites. Anyways, I add the garlic, I add the ginger, and then I stir that in each time after I add each ingredient. And then after I do all of that, I'm gonna season it. And I also cut up some chives. Well, not chives, green onions, my bad. Anyways, I cut up some green onions and I add that in there too because I like me a little crunch. And as y'all can see, the broccoli began to melt. Not the broccoli. Oh my god, y'all. I'm everywhere right now. But not the broccoli. The cheese begins to melt on the broccoli, making it so fire. So I like to add the seasoning to my potatoes after everything else is mixed in. I don't know, it's just what I do, but you can add it at any point. But I use the same 3 seasonings: my seasoning salt, my garlic salt, and my Himalayan salt. That sounds so salty, y'all, but it don't even be that bad. It's so good. But use whatever seasoning you prefer. And here I am plating me and my mom's plate. She wanted salmon. I love me some steak, so you know I got me some steak. So I put the meat down first, the main meat, and then I add the shrimp on top, and then I plate the broccoli next to the mashed potatoes and bone apple teeth. You heard it, bone apple teeth. You get it? Anyways, thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed, and the results of the plate all around will be posted at the end. See you guys in the next video. And here's the final result. Bomb.
Super wet, her juices running down honey. No stylist in the saline. Got you flogging with an icy